Hey guys, Spirit of Fear here, and today I'm bringing you Spy 102 weapons, since recently I've been playing a lot of Spy. To start out, we'll start out with the pistols. First up is the Ambassador. It's unlock to the stock revolver. It does crits on headshot. It has a 15% damage penalty and a 20% slower firing rate. Its damage can go from 15 to 51 damage based on distance, and it always does 102 criticals on headshots. As you can see, I am getting some headshots here. There is a cooldown that you have to wait. After you fire, your dot or your crosshair will expand. You have to wait for it to shrink for the next headshot. Next up is the L'Étranger. This pistol restores Cloak on hit, 15 Cloak, and has a minus 20% damage penalty. Its damage is 15 to 48, and on critical does 96. As you can see, you drain your cloak, you shoot, and you'll fill up your cloak bar again. Very nifty for getting around. It's also great for filling up your dead ringer too.
I'll see you in.
Next up is the Enforcer. It has a 20% damage bonus, well undisguised. Has a 20% slower firing speed and no random critical hits. It does 24 to 72 damage, and if your crit's krieged, it'll do 144 damage. This pistol is powerful, but when it comes to actually playing, I don't recommend it. I prefer the revolver or the Ambassador personally. Next up is the Diamondback. It gives a guaranteed critical hit for each building destroyed with your zapper attached. It has a 15% damage penalty and no random critical hits. It does 15 to 51 damage and 102 when it does a critical. Now the criticals are great for no random crit servers or servers where engineers are going to be putting down lots of mini sentries. Next we'll move on to the knives. And up first is your Eternal Reward. It does 40 damage on a face stab, 600% damage on a back stab, and it crits for 120. On a successful back stab, you gain that person's disguise, but the downside is you cannot disguise yourself, so you're left open until you get your first stab. It makes it a bit tougher when dealing with sentries. It also is a silent killer, so no backstab noise. Next up is the Conveyor's kunai. On backstab, you absorb your enemy's health, but you start with only 60 HP. In doing a backstab, you'll gain their health up to a max of 180 as overheal. When it comes to the knife, most preferred is a dead ringer, but an Inviswatch is good too. You have to be patient and get your first stab though to get that 180 health. and when you kill someone from the front you will not gain health. Next up is the Spicicle. It's a silent killer, so it makes no noise from backstabs and won't appear in the enemy's kill feed. When you are lit on fire, you become fireproof for 2 seconds. But the downside is you lose your knife for 15 seconds. So for 15 seconds you have to rely on your gun and your gun alone. And it also leaves these nice statues around so enemies will know you are around. Most commonly used with a dead ringer for against pyros. And lastly we have the Big Earner. On kill you gain 30% of your cloak back, but you start with 25% of your maximum HP. So you have 100 health to start with. As you can see here, I'm going to drain cloak away and then get a few stabs and fill up the bar back to full. It can work with the Cloak Dagger with its metal drained, Inviswatch, or the Dead Ringer. With Dead Ringer it will feel slightly slower, but that's because the Dead Ringer is overpowered. Next we have the Cloak Dagger. While you're cloaked, your metal will regain. As soon as you start moving, it will drain. Running, you have 6 seconds. While crouch walking, you have 60 seconds. You cannot pick up metal. No dropped weapons, no ammo crates. See here, even uncloaked, I cannot pick up the ammo crate. So I have to wait for the bar to refill itself. So we kill some people here. Drain the bar. Can't pick up the guns. Next we have the Dead Ringer. Dead Ringer activates on any damage, whether it be fall damage, or being hit. Upon activation, you have 6.5 seconds to get where you need to go. While in cloak, you have 90% damage reduction, but you will have a loud decloak sound, and it takes 16 seconds to refill the bar fully from drained. Picking up medium and large ammo crates will fill 30% of the bar instead of their respective full. You can see anything can pick up while cloaked. You also will not be blinked either. But you can still be tossed around and shot, and enough splash damage will kill you through the cloak itself. You can also be lit on fire. And lastly, we have the Red Tape Recorder. The Red Tape Recorder is an alternative zapper, and what it does is it reverts buildings instead of destroying them. So what happens is it slowly starts to downgrade. It takes 14 seconds for a full sentry, 7 seconds for a dispenser, 7 seconds for a teleporter, and 9.5 seconds for mini sentry to revert back to its building box. I still prefer the zapper over the Red Tape Recorder, but it's all based on preference. And that's Spy Weapons 102.